Welcome to Take 10 with North Lakes College Counseling Team and Wellness, where each week each one of our members of the counseling team provides an outline of various topics to answer some of your questions. My name is Kyle, and I am a Student Wellness Coordinator for Northern Lakes College, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. So today's webinar is all about emergency preparedness, and it's really all about will you be ready if something happened short notice? Like an emergency in your community, something happened in your house or apartment, or even on the road. So let's just dive into this. So if you had to leave on a moment's notice, what would you take with you? So we're going to discuss this in a three-step process. So we'll start with how do you prepare for an emergency? So step one is basically know the risks. So as Alberta has seen its fair share of major disasters and evacuations over the years, some of this may have involved you or people that have fled from floods, fires, and various other things. So the first part of planning is to know what are all the risks in your area. So let's just go over some of those. Winter driving is a pretty obvious one. Our roads can get pretty bad in terms of in the wintertime. So those are some risks that you have to consider, especially things that you should have in your vehicle. Extreme cold is another one. We've been getting temperatures in that minus 40s, close to 50s with the wind, and it's really hard on your heating systems and various things like that. So just making sure that you understand that all this stuff could happen around you. Wildfires is quite common, as you know. Last year actually was probably one of our best years because it was so wet. We didn't have hardly any wildfires at all. But flooding, power, gas outages, disaster. Now, the disaster could be as simple as a rail car derailment. You could have roads blocked. Hazards could be as something like a wind warning, like the wind's knocked trees down, you can't get out, or it could be a chemical leak. It could be just a number of things. So second step, once you know your hazards, the second part of that is to make a plan. So in this one, what we're looking at is know your exits. So in your house, you should have a primary exit and a secondary exit in case there's a fire, carbon monoxide, flooding, whatever. And then once you get out of your house, you should have a meeting place, your muster point. Now the muster point is important because your family could be separated, so it could take you minutes or hours for you guys to get together. So it's important that you have a predetermined spot where you'll meet up and then take it from there. And it's just a check, just to make sure everybody's safe. Things like in your home, you look at your power, your gas, your electrical. Just make sure you know how to turn those off if you need to, just in case there's a situation where you need to. Your fire extinguisher, you should have one in every floor of your home, and you should have one in your vehicle. So make sure you have one of those. And also in your house, and this is just a yearly thing, make sure your smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector are working, and make sure the batteries are replaced. Now, part of the plan too is you need to have an understanding of what are you going to do with your pets. If you have a dog or a cat or a little hamster, are you going to be able to take them with you? So all that stuff gets written out in a plan, and it just helps alleviate the anxiety. What am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with that? I know as a firefighter, I've been on many deployments where I've had to evacuate people, and animals is is always something that people struggle with. And it gets harder when you have livestock, let's say, for example, horses and stuff like that. So if you have a preset plan, it just helps alleviate some of those situations down the road. So it's still part of that planning is you need to know where you're going to go. So let's say one road is washed out, and I can remember way back in Slave Lake, we had the town was basically cut off from the flooding, and people had no place to go. So it happens, and you need to have an alternative route. So make sure that's all pre-planned. If you're in a larger building, whether it's a school, whether it's a complex of some kind, always know and get your bearings on where you are and how to get out in case something happened. For example, an explosion or gas leak or something like that. And consider to build into your plan, know when to stay and to go. What that means is basically sometimes it's safer to stay in your home or stay within your school because of the circumstances outside. Now, those circumstances could be a number of things. It could be flooding, it could be maybe somebody dangerous is on the loose, it could be a wild animal in the area. So, know when to stay in place. The other thing sometimes you get, and you get this mostly during wildfires and flooding, is you get an evacuation alert that says prepare to leave. So the alert is saying just gather your things, get ready, be ready to leave if we give you the word. And that could mean something is not as bad, but it is serious enough where your life could be in danger. And the last one would be evacuation order. You must leave. This is where you're going to get some very anxious people knocking at your door saying you have to get out. Your house is on fire, or the waters are rising fast, and you only got minutes before this whole area is flooded. So you basically have to get your stuff. You only got a minute or two and get out the door. So all of a sudden you're sleeping, wake up, there's an emergency. What do you do? What do you do? So first thing you know you're going to have to do is if you have to leave your house, there's some simple or basics you need to take with you. You need your phone. If you have a cell phone, make sure you have a backup battery and definitely take that charger. Definitely take your purse or wallet and make sure there's money in it. I know my wallet, I have got no money in it. So I have to make sure I have coins and $5 and $10 bills and stuff like that. And make sure you take your passport and pieces of identification because you'll need that if you're going to an evacuation site. You'll have to prove who you are. So step 3 is all about putting together an emergency kit. Now this kit has to be self-sufficient for at least 72 hours because you don't know how long you're going to be away. So minimum 72 hours. And what we're looking at is having a container to hold your stuff. So wherever it is in the house, no matter what hour, what time it is, you could just grab it and put it in your vehicle and away you go. So the basic kit is definitely a container of some sort, whether it's a tote or a pail or even a duffel bag. There should be 2 liters of water in there to handle for each one of you per day. And generally your water should be small water bottles, not one giant super bottle. The food should be canned and maybe some energy bars, just food that won't perish because this kit is going to be kind of tucked away for maybe months. So you're not going to keep replenishing and make sure it's fresh. So the stuff should stay for at least a year. Definitely a flashlight, a radio, some cash, some medications. Definitely medications, some basic stuff. And if you have kids or if you have small animals, definitely some dog food. I know when we do our deployments, we usually put some dog food in with our sprinkler trailers, just because we run into a lot of stray animals along the way. And then you can definitely add to your kit if you want, because this is your kit. You can put whatever you want. Candles, matches, if you can fit a sleeping bag in there, toiletries, garbage bag, and others. And definitely in your car. So think about it. If you were told you had to leave on a moment's notice, you probably wouldn't have time to load up all your luggage. So just depending on the circumstances, and then how much room do you have in your vehicle. But in your car or truck or whatever, make sure it's well fueled up. There's a blanket, some tools, a candle in a deep can. That's in case on the cold day you can kind of keep warm. Some kind of snow shovel, some jumper cables, and definitely a fire extinguisher in the vehicle. So basically that's it. I know we've run through it pretty quick. I'm going to give you some web links where you can go and get some in-depth stuff, but it takes about 20 minutes to do this. So know the risk, make a plan, and get your emergency kit. So these are the online resources from the government websites: Canada, Canadian Red Cross, St. John's, Salvation Army, various things. And that concludes. My name is Kyle Paulson, and I hope this has helped you. And if you have any questions, definitely reach out to Northern Lakes College, and we'll be there to answer them. All right, have a good day.